Every NFL draft board in America says Fernando Mendoza is easily a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft, but our friends at FanDuel say he's the betting odds favorite to be the #1 overall pick. We bring in an expert to discuss.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is a Locked On crossover of Hoosiers and NFL Draft. I'm Jacob Goins, host of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Damian Parson from the Locked On NFL Draft podcast, and this is one that Hoosier fans have been begging me for, Damian, so I'm so glad we were able to make this happen and talk about some Indiana football and the players who could be playing on Sundays next year from the Indiana Hoosiers. We're going to talk about some receivers, some offensive linemen, defensive tackles as well, but we've got to start with the focal point that you guys have been covering on your show, Fernando Mendoza, the transfer quarterback from Cal, who's now the signal caller in Bloomington. He is a first-round draft pick no matter where you look, but some people are telling you, my friend, he might be the best quarterback in next year's NFL draft.
Yeah, the stock is climbing for Fernando Mendoza, right? He checks a lot of the physical boxes. 6'5", 220, 25 pounds, big arm. He can push the ball in the tight windows, push it downfield. But it's the quick game, the accuracy, the quick decision making that you see from Fernando Mendoza in this Indiana offense that has really shined this year. But even going back to Cal, one of the biggest things that scouts really loved about him, and I know I love this about him, is his toughness in the pocket. Fernando Mendoza, you go back to the Auburn game last year against Cal, he's got his running back blown up, getting hit, running back is getting blown up in pass protection, falling into, I think, his right knee, and he still throws a perfect back shoulder fade to his outside receiver. When pressure, even against Iowa, it was that throw up the seam. You got the free runner, the free blitzer coming right into his face. Probably should have been a penalty because I believe they hit him in the face as well. And he still threw a dime right up the seam. He will stand in there 10 toes into the pocket and deliver and strike the football. So what he brings to the table is physical ability. He's a functional athlete, and when things break down, he's able to get you some straight line yardage, what we call free yardage. If you give him free yardage, he's going to take it 5 to 10 yards. He can get that for you, move the chains and convert on third downs and convert those into first downs. But it's just the headsy, intelligent play. And I think the Iowa game, to me, of course, the 63-10 or whatever it was against against Illinois was extremely impressive. 5 touchdowns, 91% completion percentage. But the resolve against Iowa, where the protection wasn't great. Receivers were at times having some issues getting free from that physical defense that is Iowa. We know one thing Iowa's going to do is play really good defense, right?
Yep.
And instead of being able to run away from that game, put up a 40 burger, things of that nature, you're in a dogfight. You're in a slugfest. And what I loved is that, hey, I threw an interception my first of the year.
Yes.
Didn't like it, right? And my defense got the ball back. And now it's time for me to cash in. And you saw a guy lock in, make the throws and make the reads and make the decisions. You want to keep sending pressure? That's fine. I'm going to replace you with the football on this slant to my top wide receiver, Elijah Sarratt. And we're going to go ahead and win this game and go home. That resolve, that mental resolve from Fernando Mendoza was big to me.
And we're going to talk about Sarratt here in just a little bit because he's starting to climb up the big boards on NFL draft guys as well. But all those things that you just talked about, Damian, is why Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers offensive coordinator Mike Shanahan went to get Fernando Mendoza at California. And I'm glad you bring up that game where he went on the road to an SEC team and won it a dirty way. And now you see why he's winning games in the Big Ten. And you bring up his first pick. He responds immediately, delivers a touchdown. Game-winning pass is what it ended up being. And he is climbing up Heisman races as well. He was the leader. He was the Heisman frontrunner, Damian, after the Illinois game. He's fallen back a little bit since. But what is it about his game, or maybe it's all those things that NFL draft guys love so much that can make sure he's successful at the next level? Because we're talking about uncharted waters here. Indiana hasn't had an NFL draft pick in the first round since 1994. So Fernando Mendoza would be the first one in a long time to come out of Bloomington.
I think with Mendoza, it's when you look at the pro game, it's just a quick decision making, the processing of information, coming to the line of scrimmage, identifying the coverage pre-snap, but also understanding that, hey, what you're showing me right now, once this ball is snapped, I can't just assume it's going to be the same thing. And
Yeah.
you rarely see him get confused post snap. He reads everything quickly. Even go back to that Illinois game where it's like understanding, let me get the ball to in the flats to my running back. He's wide open. Let me get it there. Make that quick decision. Those quick mental decisions and the processing and everything. Those are the things that really is taking, well, not really taking shape, but it's more so that's what NFL teams and scouts are looking for. When
Yeah.
you look at right now, I mean, you go to the Indianapolis Colts, right? Anthony Richardson, who we were high on, he came out and everything. The Shane Steichen's offense looks more. It's ran better because Daniel Jones is a seasoned vet. Things of that.
Indiana Jones, man. Indiana Jones.
He gets the ball out against zone. He makes those right reasoned decisions. And while you go, Anthony Richardson was more kind of up and down because he needed the time to really develop from that mental aspect. For him, this will be his second full year as a starter. So he's not a 1 year wonder of any kind. But he's also a guy, and for a guy that's 6'5", the RPO game, like he's one of the best RPO quarterbacks in the country. And it's crazy because I was watching Drew Aller against Oregon in everything, for my doing my scouting reports over at Bleacher Report on him, and I was just like, yeah, this is not the guy I want running many RPOs, right? Like his footwork is just a little too heavy, flipping the hips to turn back to make that glance route. That's not a thing for Fernando Mendoza. He gets that snap, he puts it into the mesh point, and he's identifying, oh, I can hit this glance. You see his hips, his feet, everything transition quickly. It's very just on point, and I get the ball out. He's what he's doing right now. He's playing the game from an NFL level mentally, and that's what translates to the league. And not only that, them being 6'5", having that arm talent as well. That throw was a second quarter, maybe left hash to the right sideline to EJ Williams. That's an NFL throw, and I'm gonna be honest, there's not a lot of NFL guys going to make that throw. Like they're not going to even attempt that throw. So to have the fortitude to make that throw, but also the arm talent and strength, he's got the ability to absolutely be a first round pick and to be the first quarterback selected.
And before we move on and talk about just why Indiana has started to kind of grow as an NFL breeding ground and some of those other guys as well, some people may look at different draft boards or even PFF. I have it pulled up over here. He's ranked 14th, according to them, in terms of just his draft stock or his ranking in draft eligible guys. But you'll know this better than anybody. Just because you're ranked 14th or 15th or 20th doesn't mean you'll be drafted 14th, 15th, or 20th. It all depends on the teams and what order they're picking in and what their needs are too, which I'm assuming is why Fernando Mendoza is even higher than some people have him.
Absolutely. I mean, for number one, it's QB tax. When you're a quarterback and you're playing good ball, you're definitely with especially you have teams. It's a couple teams in the NFL right now. They're looking at their quarterback situation like, you know what? Yeah, let's get the scouting reports done on these quarterbacks for the 2026 NFL draft. We're not in very good waters right now in terms of our quarterback situation, and I think that's going to be a big thing. And also, a lot of people are still the Illinois was a test that he passed. Iowa was a physical test, but he passed that as well. And then the rest of the season, you got Oregon, different things like that. The more he's able to answer those questions, those data points, check that you go out there. Not saying you got to go out here and throw for 400 yards and beat Oregon, but if you go out here and play well, and really you're the reason that your team is in this game. Yeah, that's all the scouts care about. Yeah, winning the game helps, but if you're able to go out there and handle your business, another data point checked off. That's for Fernando Mendoza at this point. It's just checking off data points. He continues to do that. His name will more than likely be etched in stone as a top 10 pick.
Mendoza is projected to be in the first round, but again, he could be the number one quarterback taken in next year's NFL draft come April, and that would be huge for the Indiana football program as a whole. We're going to talk about that next and why Curt Cignetti is starting to build this into an NFL draft type of place where kids can come, get developed, and play on Sundays. We talk about that coming up next here on the Locked On crossover of Hoosiers and NFL Draft. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You got Thursday night football tonight, football on Sunday between the afternoon games, the Sunday night game, Monday night football as well. Heck, we had a doubleheader last week in the National Football League. Or if you want to sprinkle some on college football, you can do that too. Just makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. You can do so right now with our friends over at FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Do so right now at FanDuel.com. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. There are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Some of the examples of local businesses in Bloomington and around Bloomington who are a part of the Square network, you can go to Card Craze, Rusty Anchor, Hoosier Bar and Grill, just to name a few. How about Square Donuts or the Owen Vallon Winery? Those are places that are a part of the Square network. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, welcome back to this Locked On crossover Hoosiers and NFL Draft. He is Damian Parson from the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. I'm Jacob Goins from Locked On Hoosiers. And what is it, Damian, about a program in Indiana, or maybe just Curt Cignetti in particular, who had 2 guys drafted last year, projected to have, 3, 4, 5 different guys drafted this year, depends on what teams need and want, and even more will be signed as undrafted free agents. I mean, what is it about the turnaround that Indiana has had under Curt Cignetti that has made them now a reliable college football program for NFL talent?
Man, I think you look at Curt Cignetti and being a program builder right now. His famous phrase, I said it on the pod, I think it was a couple of days ago, Google me, that he wins and it's proven. And it's one thing that young recruits and young players love. They love bravado. They love a confident coach. They love a coach that knows what he's doing and believes in what he's doing. Because at the end of the day, coaches and recruiters are salesmen. They have to sell themselves and the program and what they can do. There's questions that family. I'm cool. I have families reach out to me all the time, mothers, fathers, and stuff. But high school recruits just asking for advice and stuff. The things that they ask is like, how do you, for a father is going to ask, how are you going to help my son become a man? Different things of that nature. And when you have that with a guy named like Curt Cignetti, it goes a long way. But also being in the Big Ten. And knowing that I get the chance to be in some prime time games, prime time opportunities, and you're seeing where this program is going. This program is elevating right now. So, like as a recruit, you 100% when you get that letter and you're like, man, Indiana, like okay, like they're leveling up.
Starting to carry a little bit more weight, right?
Absolutely.
They don't just put it to the side like they used to do. We'll be honest, we're not fools here at Bloomington. We understand. We know where we came from, and we know where we are. So I'm picking up what you're putting down.
No, yeah, you guys are leveling up. You're growing. You're elevating, and in the college football space, when you become a potential contender in the Big Ten, the second biggest tie for the biggest conference in college football, that speaks volumes. So being able to get those recruits, but not just get the recruits, the portal, and again, veteran players in the portal, they look at a guy like Curt Cignetti and they say, I'll play for that man because I know for one, he's going to put me in. I was listening to an interview from Fernando Mendoza and how he said that Curt Cignetti watched the film from Cal, took some of the things that he did at Cal and implemented it into the Indiana playbook. That's good coaching. And I want everybody to understand it. In the NFL level, they don't do things like that
It's
consistently.
the other way around.
It's the other way around. Like they'll draft a round peg knowing that they need a square one. That's just the NFL. That's a really good coach, because then you think about it as a receiver, it's like, well, I do better with more gadget stuff and more manufactured touches and things like that. Well, Curt Cignetti is going to do exactly what you do best. He's going to call it for you, dial it up, and give you the opportunity to make plays. That's why Indiana is becoming a more profitable program in terms of the NFL draft and with these recruits, because these young men at the end of the day want to go to the league. And if you have a program that is putting guys into the league, the more you get that pro potential going and you get higher grades. You think about college football 26 for any of my gamers out there.
That's
Listen,
right.
you know, when you win a couple games and you do some good things, that program, that pro potential grade goes up. That means now you got that 4-star recruit saying, you know what? I want to go to the league. I want to go somewhere that's going to get me there. Curt Cignetti is proving that I'm the guy that can be that ramp, that runway to get you into the NFL.
Yeah, Indiana was on a 3-year drought of having someone drafted to the NFL before Curt Cignetti got here. You're also talking about a program, Damian, that since the year 2000 has had 9 separate years, 9 individual instances where nobody was drafted from the Indiana Hoosiers since the year 2000. You just can't have that if you want to be a competitor in the Big Ten, in the P4, and in college football. And while Fernando Mendoza will be a first-round draft pick, and again, we expect him to possibly be the number 1 quarterback off the board, several other Indiana Hoosiers might hear their name called in April of 2026. Elijah Sarratt is on that board, the guy who Fernando Mendoza is throwing the football to. He's the Hoosiers wide receiver 1. What do NFL scouts see in Elijah Sarratt?
Strength, playmaking, yards after catch creation. He's, and what I loved about that game is how physical that game was. He never backed down from it. So, like, talking about going into the NFL and seeing some of these top tier corners who will, I'll play off, and then third downs, I'll walk down to the line of scrimmage and play press. Yep. And he has that ability to play through that contact, play with that physicality, but then also he plays every wide receiver position. He plays the X, the slot, and the Z. So that high football IQ, understanding how to run his routes against certain coverages, those things translate to the NFL. He's an ideal West Coast offense wide receiver. And what we've seen with the McVays, the Shanahans, you think about Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, those offenses are predicated more on, hey, we're going to take those short to intermediate throws. We'll throw it deep when we need to, but we want to get the ball out quick, get it to our receivers, let those guys make those plays after the catch with the ball in his hands. And going back to that slant, listen, it's a big time situation. We got pressure coming in the face of our quarterback, and he drills it. He puts it out there. He leads you. You make the grab, and then you are able to fight through that contact and then take it the rest of the way. That's the type of thing that scouts love to see, NFL offensive coordinators like to see as well. Yeah, he may not run a 4.2, but he's got a game that translates to the league very well.
And you see that between him and Mendoza, the connection is so pure and so clean. And so many people have talked about how it looks like those two guys have been playing together for 4 or 5 years. And here they are just now playing together for the first time. And I want to flip to the defensive side of the football, because a couple of guys that I know you are keeping your eye on for the Indiana Hoosiers defensively, D'Angelo Pons, the All-American corner, Mikail Kamara, who I think could be an All-American on the defensive line, is kind of off to a slower start here in 2025, and some other guys in there as well. But defensively, the Hoosiers have several dudes who could be playing at the next level.
Yeah, Pons is a guy's been on my radar since the summer. I went back to that the game against Washington last year.
Yeah,
and Pons being 5'9", 5'10-ish, going up against 6'4", 210, 215 Denzel Boston. And you're talking about a guy that, listen, you have to tell D'Angelo Pons that he's a shorter cornerback. Like he doesn't play like it. He's physical, he's tough, he's gritty, but he's instinctive. I think in that game he had two interceptions. I think one was a pick 6 on, I believe it might have been like a wide receiver screen that he read, jumped it from distance and took it to the house. And the other one was, hey, it's a jump ball situation. I have inside leverage. I'm not letting you get to the ball. And it gets a big physical receiver. He went up and got it. His ability to tackle as well. Of course, with his size, teams are going to look at him as like, hey, you know what? You're probably going to be more of a nickel for us in the NFL. But the way he plays fits the NFL style at nickel. He's physical. He's aggressive. He'll take the ball away. You look at San Fran, and they have I think he's 5'9", 5'10", out of Western Kentucky, Upton Stout, who's starting in the nickel for them right now.
Yeah.
And he fits their defense to a T. D'Angelo Ponce is going to be drafted, and I think he's probably going to hear his name called somewhere in day 2, albeit that he tests the way the NFL scouts expect him to. This is a good football player. Good football player.
And then Mikail Kamara, have you had a chance to look into him on the defensive line as well for the Hoosiers? Again, someone who I think is all-American good. I think he's all Big Ten good. Again, a little bit of a slower start here in 25, but I think he's got the size and the speed. Kamara 6'1", 262 on that edge spot. Maybe that's where they move him in the NFL, if that's kind of where we're going here.
Yeah, he's definitely draftable as well, and he's a guy I like as well. He has that kind of sawed-off, low center of gravity frame at 6'1", 260, but he plays with good strength. He anchors well. He's able to drop his weight, to play underneath the pads of offensive tackles, making it difficult to move him in the run game, things of that nature. But then you think about he's a guy that I view teams being able to wide nine and get him on that runway for that speed to power conversion, to where it's like, I can run through you. And that's the one thing. Listen, you ask any NFL offensive linemen, whether currently playing or veterans that have retired, those are the guys that give them some headaches. It's not just everybody can't be Von Miller. Von Miller just had a ridiculous skill set.
Yeah.
One of one, right? But it's a fact of, hey, I get into my set, and if you can put your hand in my chest plate and drive me back, that's the fear of being manhandled and pushed back and overpowered. And Mikail Kamara has that. But with his size, I wouldn't be surprised if teams say, you know what, let's see if we can get you up to 270, 275, and then we use him as that reduced down at interior defensive lineman, especially against guards with his quickness and his strength. 100%. He's a versatile player that can do different things for a defense.
And I think that's, again, another guy who was bred from Curt Cignetti, bred from Indiana once he got here from James Madison, as someone who you just feel like is going to make an impact at the next level, whether it's Mikail Kamara, D'Angelo Ponce, Elijah Sarratt, Fernando Mendoza, or anybody else. There's several other Hoosiers on that list as well, but I'm just glad that Indiana's finally becoming a place that can produce NFL talent and get the attention of guys like yourself, Damian, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. We appreciate you. And again, for Indiana people who are watching or listening on Locked On Hoosiers and you want more information, check them out, Locked On NFL Draft. You guys have shows every day covering all sorts of players, right? And I know you're just going to get busier as the calendar flips to 2026.
Absolutely, man. It's we have a good time covering the draft landscape through the college football lens throughout the season, and then once we get to December and January, you got Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl and Combine, and it's full steam ahead after that. So we are right now we're in mid-season form. That's the best way I could put it. We're in mid-season form right now.
Check them out, Locked On NFL Draft, wherever you get your podcast, or on YouTube as well. And for any of you listening or watching on the Locked On NFL Draft podcast, come check us out over at Locked On Hoosiers. Same way you find that, you can find us as well. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat out all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and isn't it so wonderful? I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. It really is just getting annoying at this point. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. My favorite part about it is there are no hidden fees. There are no surprises. It's not just us saying that. It really is true. What you see is what you pay. That is the price at checkout. There's no additional fee here or an extra tax here or secret money here. What you see is what you pay, plain and simple. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson Yoxheimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever it's your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Welcome back, everydayers. We're joined by Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. I've got many grilling questions. I got some beef with Jacob. What about your dude? We thought he was supposed to be good. We'll talk about that soon. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So we're going to talk about how this affects Nico, how this affects Tino, and what this is going to mean for UCLA's offense moving forward. And finally, once we're done chatting with Jacob, I'll talk about what does this look optically for the UCLA program that they can't figure it out. All that today on Locked On UCLA. So Jacob, this is fascinating. You've got a first-time offensive coordinator getting his chance to hold the reins himself, in charge of everything. It obviously goes to literal dreadful parts of college football, and then it's not so good. What do you think about UCLA getting rid of Tino after 4 games?
I mean, not that I'm telling UCLA fans anything they don't want to hear or haven't heard already, but just for the college football world, like, man, what a disaster that this was with Deshaun Foster, Nico, all the coaches hiring, all the coaches now being fired and let go. I mean, this was literally as bad of a start as you could have to a college football season. And I hate it for Tino Sunseri, who just seems to be kind of caught in the crossfire of all this stuff. And I know we're going to talk about him in particular here in just a moment, but man, things are bad out there. When you start losing games to what, UNLV and New Mexico and things like that, like at a P4 program in the heart of Los Angeles that has the money and the status to be successful, and you're performing like that, that's bad, man. It's
real bad.
It's embarrassing, it seems like, for a lot of people that are around the program or associated with it. And I hate it. I don't want UCLA to be bad because it doesn't represent the Big Ten very well. But something just seems off about how all of this is going down. And I don't know what insights you may have or other people around the program have, but this just doesn't seem normal.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, Indiana was good. And whether you can talk about was it really Tino or not, like Curtis Rourke played well last year for Indiana. Nico has the caliber. He has all the everything, the traits that you expect. Now, do you think this is this Nico's fault per se? Like, is his offense, is his skill not there? He's clearly skilled. Is the O-line that bad? How good was Indiana's offensive line last year to how bad UCLA's offensive line this year that really doomed Tino and Nico from the start?
Indiana had several good dudes playing last year, several older guys who aren't there this year, which is why the Hoosiers had to go and get a couple of starters out of the transfer portal. And so the offensive line was solid last year. And you're right, Curtis Rourke, if he doesn't get hurt a year ago, I think he goes to New York for a Heisman Trophy ceremony. I don't think he would have won it, but I think he would have been in the running. And Tino Sunseri was a big part of that. He was a huge reason for that, which is why I made a big deal about it to Indiana fans when he left for the UCLA job, because I said, look, this is a big loss. This is a big deal. Tino Sunseri is legit. And the fact that he had just 4 games at UCLA before the interim stepped in and they mutually parted ways is what I saw. They said he was fired. Then they said it was a mutual parting of ways. I don't know. For a coordinator that worked with Joey Aguilar all spring and then was thrown Nico Iamaleava, it's like, hey man, good luck. Fix this dumpster
And here's
fire.
the thing too, because you bring in Aguilar and Aguilar's like, all right, maybe the other guys in a quarterback room can say, all right, you want a starter, you want a guy that's going to be there for 1 year. 1 year. That's all you're going to get. Yeah. And then he brought in his own recruit to flip because Nico's younger brother, Madden, decommitted. He flipped to Arkansas. at the last moment, which is funny. Now, if you look at where Madden went, the Arkansas coach got fired. You see where Nico went, the UCLA coach there's just trouble everywhere. Now that's a whole different topic. But if you look at it, he had to go flip his own guy, get a new guy to come in, have a whole quarterback room, works with a guy all spring, and then you're given Nico. And Nico is clearly talented. I will say Nico is still more talented, has more upside than Aguilar. But it is funny that you had Deshaun Foster taking shots at Joey Aguilar's ability to read the defense, the work ethic. And then you see Nico, who, if you look at Bill Connolly's ESPN SP rankings of top Power 4 quarterbacks, or the top quarterbacks, I think, in the country, I forget where he put that, of the top Power 4 QBs, Nico is in like the 60th out of 68th quarterbacks. Like, he is one of the worst quarterbacks in the country. It's not all his fault, but clearly he's not helping himself, nor did he help his offensive coordinator.
And look what Joey Aguilar's doing at Tennessee, dropping 45 points on Georgia. They should have won that game, but they're still a dark horse to make it to the college football playoff out at Knoxville. Like, that's the difference. And so I don't put this on Tino Sunseri. And I feel bad that, again, he got caught in whatever crossfire misconstrued information or just a mishandling of this entire situation. Tino Sunseri is an offensive mastermind. He's a quarterback whisperer, and he's somebody that's going to get another shot at a program that's willing to invest the resources, aka the money, to put kids around him. He's really good, Zach, but you can't expect him to just create another Heisman candidate out of somebody that's clearly not good enough. Speaking about Nico here, you give him some talent, he'll develop them into what they need to be at the college game and into NFL pros as well. Tino's going to get another shot, and he deserves another shot. I'm cool if we want to find a way to bring him back to Bloomington. I'd be just fine with that. But I still believe that Tino Sunseri is going to be a head coach in college football one day because I think he's that good at what he does.
I was talking with Locked On Baylor's Cam Stewart, and he said Dave Aranda, the comparison is Baylor might be in the comparison to Bill Belichick. That might be his Cleveland Browns. And then Belichick went on to have a good career with the New England Patriots, regardless of what you think about Tom Brady. Do you think this is Tino Sunseri's Cleveland Browns in terms of his offensive coordinator? His first spot, he obviously had the connections with Deshaun and was like, hey, this is a great opportunity. And nobody thinks you're going to get fired 3 games into your second year as a head coach. Like that just does not happen in terms of Deshaun Foster, the head coach. You go into it, but I'm just curious. It's weird timing. Like, I just don't understand. Here's the funny thing. And I don't think UCLA goes out and fires Deshaun and makes this all happen if they don't get Nico. If they stay with Aguilar, whether they have any wins or not. Now, I'm not saying he's going to make them 3-1, but that just sped up the timeline for Tino. That sped up the timeline for Deshaun. They got Nico, and UCLA is going to be maybe the most entertaining if they are 0-12 team in the history of college football, or 1-11, or 2-10. Tell me what 2-win team, 1-win team, 0-win team is as entertaining as the circus surrounding Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee, Deshaun Foster with his first remarks at the Big Ten Media Days a year ago, and UCLA, as much as we say nobody goes to the games, they're still a big brand in college football. It's the biggest joke at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And look, take advantage of it, right? Enjoy whatever this ride that you guys are on is, because UCLA will come back. They will get back to relevancy, I hope.
We hope.
I think college football is better when UCLA is better. I think it's one of those brands historically. We know it for basketball, obviously. Baseball's taken a turn as well. And look, football needs to get back to help represent the Big Ten on the West Coast. But for Tino in particular, I think this was a situation where he thought the grass was greener. It had every opportunity to be, but it just turned out it wasn't, because there was a pesticide in the ground that he didn't know about. And so I think he's going to be fine. I think somebody else will give him a chance. And this is somebody that helped an offense in Indiana last year get to the college football playoff. Okay. He knows what he's doing. Tino will get another shot at a program that's actually willing to compete and succeed right now. And I think you're going to see the true effect and impact what Tino Sunseri can bring.